Welcome, cosmic contemplatives, to the Sleepy Astronomer. Tonight, we embark on perhaps the most profound journey of all, an exploration not of distant galaxies or swirling nebulae, but of the universe within us. We'll gently drift into the enigmatic realm of consciousness itself, that inner light that illuminates our perception of the cosmos. As we gaze outward at the stars, let us also turn our gaze inward, pondering the very nature of awareness that allows us to wonder at the universe's grand design. This is a journey designed to soothe your mind while awakening your deepest thoughts about what it means to be. We'll delve into the very essence of existence, gently unraveling the threads of perception, thought, and self, all through the tranquil lens of a cosmic observer. Imagine yourself floating effortlessly through the vastness, observing the intricate dance of matter and energy, and then turning that same gaze upon the astounding phenomenon of your own awareness. Is it merely a biological function, or does it echo a deeper truth embedded in the cosmos? This extended contemplation will guide us through scientific frontiers, ancient philosophies, and the very edge of human experience, all while maintaining the serene rhythm of the cosmic night. The cosmic spark, defining consciousness in the universe. What is this profound phenomenon we call consciousness? It's the inner experience of being, the silent observer, the thinker, the feeler, the inner experiencer of all things. Imagine it as the unique frequency at which your personal universe resonates, a private light show that only you can truly perceive. For centuries, philosophers and scientists have grappled with the hard problem of consciousness, a term eloquently coined by philosopher David Chalmers. This isn't about how our brains process information. Those are the so-called easy problems, dealing with things like how we recognize faces, how we learn, or how our brains control our movements. These are complex, certainly, but in principle, solvable through neurobiology and computational science. The hard problem, however, cuts to the very core of our existence. How does physical brain activity, a collection of neurons firing and chemicals interacting, give rise to the subjective qualitative experience of seeing the color blue, feeling the warmth of a distant star, or hearing the subtle hum of the cosmos? These subjective experiences are known as qualia. It asks the difference between a computer recognizing red as a specific wavelength of light and a human experiencing the sensation of redness. The computer might process the data, but does it feel red? This fundamental mystery is as vast and compelling as any cosmic void, arguably the greatest unsolved problem in all of science and philosophy. It forces us to confront the seemingly unbridgeable gap between the objective, physical world and our subjective, inner world. From an astronomical perspective, one might wonder if consciousness is a rare cosmic gem, unique to Earth, a fleeting biological accident in a vast, indifferent universe. Or, perhaps, is it a fundamental property woven into the fabric of the universe itself, like gravity or electromagnetism, a subtle resonance across the cosmos? If the latter, then our individual awareness could be seen as a localized manifestation of a universal consciousness, much like a wave on an ocean. Is our awareness a mere biological accident, a byproduct of complex neural networks? Or is it a reflection of an underlying cosmic order, a deep resonance with the very information that structures the universe? This contemplation invites us to consider our own minds as miniature universes, mirroring the complexity, the laws, and the profound mystery of the macrocosm. Every thought, every feeling, every perception becomes a tiny echo of the cosmic whole. This is the starting point for our tranquil journey, a gentle inquiry into the most intimate of cosmic wonders, yourself. The brain, our personal cosmic observatory and its intricate network. At the very heart of our individual cosmic experience lies the human brain, an astonishing organ composed of approximately 86 billion neurons, forming trillions of connections known as synapses. It's not merely a biological computer. It's our personal cosmic observatory, a self-organizing network constantly processing vast amounts of information, integrating diverse signals, and in doing so, constructing our reality from sensory input. While no single consciousness center has been definitively found, the idea of a single seat of the soul has largely been dismissed by modern neuroscience. Awareness seems to emerge from the intricate dynamic dance and synchronized coordination between various brain regions. It's a symphony of activity, not a solo performance. Let's gently explore some of the key areas and their roles in this grand neural orchestra. The prefrontal cortex, nestled behind your forehead, is a relatively recently evolved part of the brain, crucial for higher-order cognitive functions. This includes self-reflection, planning, decision-making, and assessing consequences. It's the part that allows you to ponder your place in the universe, to contemplate the ethical implications of space exploration, or to strategize for future astronomical observations. It contributes to your sense of self as a continuous entity over time. The thalamus acts like a central relay station, a cosmic switchboard for the brain. It filters, organizes, and directs almost all sensory information to the appropriate brain regions for further processing. Imagine it as the control center of your observatory, ensuring that signals from distant light sources, atmospheric vibrations, or even gravitational pulls reach their correct interpretive centers. Damage to the thalamus often results in profound loss of consciousness, highlighting its critical role in integrating sensory input into a coherent experience. The default mode network, as we've mentioned, is particularly fascinating. It becomes active when your mind is at rest, not focused on an external task, during daydreaming, recalling memories, imagining future cosmic journeys, or simply reflecting on your internal state. It's the brain's background hum, the quiet contemplation space where your inner astronomer often resides, where personal narratives are constructed, and where our sense of self is maintained, even in the absence of immediate external stimuli. Dysregulation in the DMN has been linked to various states, from profound meditative experiences to certain neurological disorders. Scientists vigorously search for neural correlates of consciousness, specific patterns of brain activity, whether localized or distributed across networks, that consistently accompany conscious awareness. It's like looking for the unique light signature of a conscious planet. These NCC are not consciousness itself, but rather the minimal neuronal mechanisms jointly sufficient for any one specific conscious percept. For example, when you consciously perceive a star, there are specific patterns of neural firing that accompany that experience. The challenge remains to bridge the gap between identifying these patterns and understanding how they give rise to the subjective feeling of seeing the star. The more we understand the brain's intricate wiring, its complex oscillatory rhythms, and its dynamic functional connectivity, the closer we might come to understanding how this biological machinery generates the subjective experience of being. Yet the leap from electrochemical impulses to the feeling of awe when gazing at the Milky Way remains the ultimate challenge, a mystery as vast and profound as the cosmic web itself. Is there a point where complexity transcends mere computation and sparks awareness? This is the fundamental question that keeps the cosmic query alive. Cosmic anomalies, glimpses beyond the veil of ordinary awareness. To truly appreciate the richness and complexity of consciousness, we can often learn most from its absence, its alteration, or its unexpected manifestations. Thought experiments and neurological conditions offer fascinating glimpses into the intricate mechanisms of awareness, much like studying cosmic anomalies, black holes, dark matter, exotic stars, helps us understand the fundamental laws of physics and the boundaries of the universe. They push the limits of our understanding. Imagine a philosophical zombie, not a reanimated corpse, but a purely hypothetical being that behaves exactly like a human. It walks, talks, laughs, cries, expresses emotions, and responds appropriately to all stimuli, but entirely lacks inner subjective experience, qualia. It is a perfect physical duplicate of you, but there's nobody home inside. This thought experiment, a cornerstone of philosophical debate, highlights the profound gap between outward behavior and inner awareness. It forces us to ask, how do we know another being, be it another human, an animal, or a hypothetical II, is truly conscious? What is the undeniable mark of subjective experience? Consider blind sight, a perplexing neurological condition resulting from damage to the primary visual cortex. Individuals with blind sight report being completely blind in a portion of their visual field. They have no conscious awareness of seeing anything there. Yet, remarkably, when prompted to guess about stimuli presented in that blind field, they can often perform above chance. For instance, they might accurately reach for an object or correctly identify its orientation, all without any conscious sensation of seeing it. Their eyes register the light. Their brain processes it enough to react, but the subjective experience of seeing is absent. It's like a highly advanced cosmic telescope that can detect light signals from distant galaxies and even calculate their trajectories, but there is no conscious observer behind the eyepiece to interpret the image, to feel the wonder of that light. This stark dissociation between processing and experience provides crucial insights into the neural pathways necessary for conscious vision. Split-brain patients, individuals who have undergone a rare surgical procedure to sever the corpus callosum, the massive bundle of nerve fibers connecting the two brain hemispheres, present an even more intriguing puzzle. This surgery, often performed to control severe epilepsy, can lead to remarkable effects on consciousness. In some cases, it appears as though two separate consciousnesses might reside within one person, each hemisphere having its own awareness, its own set of perceptions and beliefs, unable to directly communicate with the other. For example, if a patient is shown an image only to their left visual field and asked to verbally identify it, they cannot, but they can point to it with their left hand. This profound division challenges our intuitive understanding of the unity and singularity of the self. Are there truly two separate cosmic observers inhabiting one skull? Then there are patients with locked-in syndrome, a devastating condition where individuals are fully conscious and aware, with intact cognitive function, but are completely paralyzed from head to toe, unable to move or speak, except perhaps for small eye movements. Their minds are active, vibrant, and experiencing, yet there are no outward signs of this inner life. This powerfully demonstrates that consciousness can persist even without the ability to express it, a silent universe of thought and feeling trapped within a motionless body. These cases, though tragic, are like cosmic laboratories, revealing the intricate and sometimes fragile nature of our awareness, pushing the boundaries of what we conceive consciousness to be, and highlighting the vital importance of pathways for expression and interaction with the external universe. They compel us to look beyond mere physical manifestations to detect the spark of sentience, the spectrum of awareness, states of cosmic being. Consciousness isn't a simple on-off switch, nor is it a monolithic entity. It's a vast and dynamic spectrum, a cosmic rainbow of awareness, constantly shifting and evolving. We experience various states throughout our daily and nightly cycles, each offering a unique lens through which we perceive our inner and outer worlds, from the sharp clarity of wakefulness to the hazy, dreamlike logic of the subconscious. Our most familiar state is waking consciousness, the state in which you are reading these words right now. It's characterized by active integrated brain regions, constantly processing and integrating sensory inputs, recalling memories, and generating emotions. This is the state in which we navigate our physical world, learn about the universe, engage in complex problem solving, and reflect on our existence and our place within the grand cosmic narrative. It is our default setting for conscious interaction with the external reality. But then there is the exhilarating and often elusive flow state, that profound experience of complete absorption in a task, where your skills perfectly match the challenge. In flow, the sense of self fades, Time seems to warp or disappear, and hyperfocus takes over. You become one with the activity, whether it's solving a complex astrophysical equation, meticulously calibrating a telescope, composing a piece of music, or performing a delicate surgical procedure. It's a state of effortless cosmic engagement, where action and awareness merge, and the inner observer becomes perfectly attuned to present moment. Athletes, artists, and scientists often describe this state as their peak performance, a seamless dance with the task at hand. Consider also the curious phenomenon of highway hypnosis, a state of diminished awareness that can occur during repetitive or monotonous tasks, like long-distance driving. Your conscious mind seems to check out, and you can arrive at your destination with little or no memory of the journey itself. Your brain is still performing the necessary actions to drive safely, but the higher-order conscious processing has receded. It's a testament to the brain's ability to automate processes, allowing consciousness to temporarily recede into the background while lower-level functions continue. Sleep is a profound nightly journey into altered states, a complex and essential cycle of REM and non-REM stages, each with distinct brainwave patterns and levels of consciousness. Non-REM sleep is typically divided into 3 stages, progressing from light sleep to deeper sleep, and finally to slow-wave sleep. In these stages, consciousness is minimal. Your body is restoring itself, and brain activity is largely synchronized and slow. Dreams can occur, but they are often less vivid, more fragmented, and less story-like than REM dreams. It's a period of quiet internal cosmic repair. REM sleep is where the magic happens, and it's the closest we come to waking consciousness while our bodies are largely paralyzed. During REM, the brain becomes highly active, much like during wakefulness, often producing vivid, story-like dreams. Your conscious mind reawakens within this internal landscape, creating intricate narratives, engaging in bizarre scenarios, and even performing complex cognitive tasks, all while your voluntary muscles remain temporarily paralyzed to prevent you from acting out your dreams. It's like our brain creates its own virtual reality, a private cosmic theater for our dreaming self, sometimes reflecting our waking thoughts, sometimes creating entirely new universes. Even more intriguing is lucid dreaming, where you become aware that you are dreaming while still in the dream. This metacognitive awareness allows you to gain conscious control over the dream environment, transforming the passive experience into an active, interactive cosmic playground. Imagine flying through a dream galaxy, conversing with cosmic entities, or solving complex problems within your own mind. It's a powerful demonstration of the brain's capacity for self-awareness, even in an otherwise unconscious state. Practices like meditation offer profound pathways to intentionally shift awareness. Through various techniques focusing on breath, body sensations, or mental states, practitioners often experience a dissolution of the ordinary sense of self, a profound state of inner peace, and a spacious, expansive awareness that can feel boundless. It's like zooming out from your personal planet to perceive the vast emptiness and interconnectedness of the cosmos, recognizing thoughts and feelings as fleeting phenomena within a larger field of awareness. Some describe it as pure, unfiltered consciousness, a direct experience of being without the usual mental labels and narratives. Psychedelic states, chemically induced by substances like psilocybin or LSD, can profoundly alter perception, emotion, and the sense of self. Users often report experiencing synesthesia, profound insights, ego dissolution, and powerful feelings of interconnectedness with nature or the universe. These are powerful, often overwhelming, shifts in consciousness, which some believe can offer unique insights into the nature of reality and the mind. Finally, anesthesia represents a controlled, medically induced unconsciousness, a temporary and reversible turning off of awareness. Anesthetic agents work by broadly disrupting communication systems throughout the brain, effectively dimming the inner light, a temporary cessation of the personal universe for the duration of a medical procedure. It serves as a stark reminder of the brain's role in maintaining consciousness. Each of these states reminds us that consciousness is not a fixed point, but a fluid, dynamic process, constantly shifting, adapting, and revealing its multifaceted nature, much like a celestial object viewed different filters. Cosmic frameworks. Unveiling the universe of theories of consciousness. Scientists and philosophers have proposed numerous theories to explain how consciousness works, each offering a unique cosmic framework for understanding this elusive phenomenon. They are attempts to construct maps of an uncharted inner territory, much like astronomers develop models to explain the unseen forces of dark matter or the origins of the universe. Global workspace theory, primarily associated with cognitive psychologist Bernard Baars, suggests that consciousness arises when information is broadcast onto a global workspace in the brain, making it available to the entire system. Imagine this workspace as a central cosmic bulletin board or a kind of broadcasting station within the brain. Various specialized, non-conscious modules process specific information. When information becomes important or novel, it's amplified and made globally available in this workspace, allowing it to be accessed by many other brain modules. This global availability, this broadcasting, is what makes information conscious. For example, the scent of a distant flower, a memory of that flower, and the desire to approach it all converge and become consciously available, allowing for a unified, coherent experience. It's how disparate pieces of information come together to form a coherent conscious experience, a network of cosmic communication. Integrated information theory, developed by neuroscientist Giulio Tononi, is one of the most mathematically rigorous and ambitious theories. It posits that consciousness arises from the integration of information within a system, and crucially, from the system's capacity to be a unified whole that cannot be reduced to its parts. The level of consciousness is quantified as phi, a measure of how interconnected and differentiated a system is. A system with high phi is one where every part is highly interconnected with every other part, and the system as a whole contains more information than the sum of its individual parts. Imagine a complex galaxy where every star, planet, and nebula is gravitationally interconnected, creating a unified, information-rich whole that behaves distinctly from its isolated components. Ide suggests that consciousness is not exclusive to biological brains, but could potentially exist in any sufficiently complex and integrated system, biological or artificial, with a high enough phi. This theory has profound implications, suggesting that consciousness might be more widespread in the universe than we typically imagine, a fundamental property of certain complex structures. The higher-order thought model is a cognitive theory that suggests an experience becomes conscious not merely because of low-level sensory processing, but when there is a higher-order thought about that experience. For example, you don't just see a star. You have a thought about seeing the star, a metacognitive thought. It's the act of reflecting on an experience, the awareness of being aware, that makes it conscious. This model emphasizes the role of cognitive reflection in elevating raw sensory data to conscious experience. Recurrent processing theory focuses on the dynamic flow of information in the brain. It proposes that consciousness arises from feedback loops and recurrent connections in the brain, where information is processed, fed back to earlier processing areas, and reprocessed. This continuous looping and reevaluation of information allows for sustained awareness, attention, and deeper understanding. It's the persistent re-engagement with sensory data that generates stable conscious perception, rather than just a fleeting feed-forward sweep of information. Some theories view consciousness as an emergent property, meaning it appears when a system becomes sufficiently complex, intricate, and organized, much like the intricate patterns in a flock of birds emerge from the simple rules, followed by individual birds, or the complex weather patterns emerge from the interactions of countless air molecules. The whole system exhibits properties that cannot be found in its individual parts. Consciousness, in this view, is an emergent phenomenon of highly organized neural networks. A more profound, and perhaps unsettling, idea that has gained renewed interest is panpsychism. This theory suggests that consciousness, or at least proto-consciousness, is a fundamental, irreducible property of the universe, like space, time, or mass energy. In this view, even elementary particles may possess a glimmer of awareness or a basic capacity for experience. If true, it would mean that consciousness isn't something that emerges from matter at a certain level of complexity, but rather something that is matter in its most fundamental form. This would make our cosmic contemplation even more profound, as we would be gazing at a universe that is, in some sense, alive with awareness. Our individual consciousness would then be a highly complex and integrated manifestation of this pervasive cosmic property, much like a complex organism is a highly integrated collection of conscious or proto-conscious parts. These theories, though varied, all strive to bridge the gap between the physical brain and the subjective mind, pushing the boundaries of what we conceive as possible in the cosmic dance of existence. Ancient wisdom, historical perspectives on the cosmic mind, the question of consciousness is not new. It has captivated humanity for millennia, long before the advent of modern neuroscience. Ancient civilizations and philosophers, gazing at the same starry skies we do, pondered the nature of the mind, the soul, and its place in the cosmos. Their ideas, though different from modern scientific theories, laid the groundwork for our contemporary inquiries and remind us that the quest for self-understanding is a timeless human endeavor. In ancient Egypt, consciousness and the self were complex concepts, often seen as a collection of interconnected spiritual components rather than a single entity. For instance, the Shia was the life force, sustaining the body after death. The Bei represented personality and individuality, able to leave the body. And the Ek was the immortal spirit, a transfigured, glorified state of being. Interestingly, they believed the heart, not the brain, was the seat of intelligence, emotion, and consciousness, a concept that resonates with the emotional and intuitive aspects of human experience even today. Their elaborate funerary rituals were designed to ensure the continued consciousness and well-being of these spiritual components in the afterlife. Ancient India, particularly within Hinduism, developed extraordinarily sophisticated philosophical and spiritual systems that deeply explored consciousness. The central concept is Atman, the individual soul or self, which is considered identical to Brahman, the ultimate reality or universal consciousness that permeates the entire universe. The goal of life in many Hindu traditions is to realize this unity, to understand that one's individual consciousness is not separate but a manifestation, a drop in the infinite cosmic ocean of universal consciousness. Techniques like yoga and meditation were developed precisely to achieve this state of profound union and expanded awareness. Buddhism offers a unique and often challenging perspective with its central concept of anatta. It views consciousness not as a permanent, unchanging entity or a fixed soul, but as a dynamic process, a constant stream of interconnected moments, thoughts, perceptions, and sensations, constantly arising and passing away. There is no enduring, inherent self behind these processes. The self is merely a conventional label for this flowing stream. It's like observing the constant flow of a cosmic river, a continuous current of experience, rather than searching for a fixed point within it. The aim is to understand this impermanence to alleviate suffering caused by clinging to a perceived solid self. In Taoism from ancient China, the aim was to harmonize individual consciousness with the flow of nature, the Tao, the underlying cosmic principle that governs all things. This leads to the concept of Wu Wei, or effortless action acting in alignment with the natural rhythms of the universe, rather than striving against them. It's about aligning your inner cosmic rhythm with the grand rhythm of the universe, finding balance and tranquility in the spontaneous flow of existence. Ancient Greece also contributed deeply to these inquiries into the mind and soul. Plato, influenced by the Pythagoreans, believed in the immortality of the soul, seeing it as distinct from the body and capable of existing before birth and after death. For Plato, true knowledge was not acquired through the senses, but through recollection, remembering eternal truths from a prior cosmic existence of the soul in a realm of forms. Aristotle, Plato's student, took a more empirical approach. He viewed the soul as the organizing principle of a living being, the form of the body, inseparable from the material it animates. For Aristotle, the soul was not a separate entity, but the very essence of what makes a living thing alive, its capacity for growth, sensation, and thought. Early Christian thinkers engaged in profound theological and philosophical debates, often merging Greek philosophical concepts with their religious doctrines. They saw the soul as the moral and spiritual core of a human being, conscious and eternal, created by God and destined for an afterlife, emphasizing individual responsibility and divine relationship. The 17th century philosopher René Descartes, often considered the father of modern Western philosophy, famously proposed dualism, the idea that the mind and body are two fundamentally separate substances, the body being extended in space and the mind being unextended thought. His declaration, cogito ergo sum, became the foundation of his philosophy, emphasizing the undeniable reality of subjective experience as the starting point for all knowledge. He believed the pineal gland in the brain was the point of interaction between the two. During the Enlightenment, thinkers continued to refine these ideas, often moving towards more empirical and materialistic views. John Locke, a British empiricist, suggested that consciousness was intimately tied to memory and our continuous sense of self over time. Our identity, for Locke, was based on our remembered past experiences, creating a continuous thread of consciousness. Immanuel Kant, a German philosopher, argued that consciousness doesn't passively receive reality, but actively structures our experience of it. Our minds, he proposed, act as a kind of editor or filter of perception, imposing categories of understanding on the raw sensory data, shaping it into the coherent world we experience. For Kant, consciousness is not merely a mirror of reality, but an active participant in constructing it, a cosmic architect of our perceived universe. These historical perspectives remind us that the quest to understand consciousness is a timeless human endeavor, a shared cosmic inquiry across civilizations and epochs, each adding a layer to our collective understanding of the mind, the self, our personal cosmic narrative and its fleeting nature. Within the vast and shifting landscape of consciousness lies the intriguing concept of the self, that quiet companion that narrates our experiences, that central protagonist around which our personal cosmic story unfolds. It feels so stable, so constant, yet upon closer examination, it reveals itself to be a remarkably fluid and dynamic construction, constantly evolving and adapting. Neuroscience suggests that the default mode network, which we discussed earlier, is deeply involved in self-referential thinking, the moments when you ponder who you are, what your beliefs are, how you relate to others, or how you fit into the grand cosmic scheme. This network is particularly active when we are not focused on external tasks, but rather when we are engaging in introspection, remembering, or planning. It's the underlying neural machinery that helps construct and maintain our sense of personal identity and narrative. Our bodily self, the fundamental sense of being physically present and having a distinct physical boundary, is surprisingly flexible and subject to remarkable illusions. The rubber hand illusion powerfully demonstrates this. If you hide your real hand and place a realistic rubber hand in its visible position, then simultaneously stroke both your hidden hand and the rubber hand, your brain can begin to perceive the rubber hand as part of your own body. You might even feel touch sensations in the rubber hand. This highlights how our sense of self is not merely hardwired, but is a dynamic, continuously updated model created by the brain based on sensory input and prior expectations. It's a testament to the brain's ability to integrate disparate information into a coherent bodily schema. Indeed, the fluidity of self is a key insight from both neuroscience and contemplative traditions. The self is not a stable, unchanging object, like a fixed star in the night sky. Instead, it is a dynamic, constantly updated narrative, a story continuously being written and revised by the brain based on new experiences, shifting memories, and evolving interactions. It's like a cosmic autobiography, perpetually being edited and expanded. This narrative self provides a sense of continuity and coherence to our lives. Some modern cognitive theories propose the user interface theory, suggesting that the self is akin to a simplified user interface for interacting with the incredibly complex machinery of the brain. Just as a computer user doesn't need to understand the intricate lines of code or the underlying hardware to operate a program, our conscious self doesn't need to be aware of every neural firing or chemical interaction to function. This self as you allows for efficient interaction with the world without being overwhelmed by the sheer complexity of our internal biological processes. Building on this, the self-model theory of subjectivity posits that consciousness constructs a virtual model of the self, a dynamic representation that we then mistakenly identify as our real or essential self. It's a highly convincing illusion, a cosmic avatar that our brain generates for us to navigate the world and interact with others. This model is updated in real time, allowing for adaptation and learning. Beneath these layers of narrative and models lies what some refer to as minimal selfhood, the raw, prereflective feeling of being a subject of experience, a basic non-conceptual presence behind all thoughts, roles, and identities. It's the fundamental I am before any specific I am this. This foundational sense of being is often considered the most basic component of consciousness. Intriguingly, in deep meditative states or under the influence of certain psychedelics, the conventional sense of a separate, narrative self can sometimes dissolve, a phenomenon known as ego loss or ego dissolution. During these experiences, individuals report a profound feeling of unity with the environment or the universe, where the boundaries between self and other blur or disappear entirely. This suggests that consciousness can exist without the conventional sense of self, implying a deeper, more fundamental layer of awareness that transcends our individual narratives and identities. It's like the universe experiencing itself for a fleeting moment without the need for a specific cosmic identity. This profound experience challenges our ingrained notions of individuality and points towards a potentially more interconnected and fundamental nature of consciousness within the vast cosmic tapestry. Cosmic sentience, the expanding universe of consciousness in animals. The question of whether consciousness extends beyond humans is a profound and ethically charged one, pushing the boundaries of our understanding and challenging our anthropocentric views. If we are to truly be sleepy astronomers of consciousness, we must humbly look for signs of subjective experience in other beings, both terrestrial and potentially extraterrestrial, recognizing that sentience may manifest in myriad forms. One common behavioral test for self-awareness is the mirror self-recognition test. While many animals react to their reflection as if it were another individual, only a limited number of species have demonstrated the ability to recognize themselves often by touching a mark placed on their body that they could only see in the mirror. Great apes, dolphins, elephants, and even some corvids have passed this test, suggesting a form of self-awareness. Interestingly, highly intelligent animals like dogs don't consistently pass this visual test, perhaps because their primary sense is smell, not sight, suggesting that self-recognition might manifest differently across species. Cephalopods, a class of marine mollusks, including octopuses, squids, And cuttlefish are particularly fascinating and have captured the attention of consciousness researchers due to their strikingly alien-like intelligence and complex nervous systems, which are quite distinct from vertebrates. They show remarkable problem-solving abilities, tool use, camouflage mastery, distinct personalities, and even the capacity for mimicry and complex learning. Their recognition as sentient beings by scientific communities challenges our human-centric view of consciousness, suggesting that consciousness can evolve along entirely different neural pathways. Crows and ravens, often dubbed feathered apes, exhibit astonishing cognitive abilities. They display complex tool use, planning for the future, episodic memory, understanding of cause and effect, and even recognition of individual human faces. Crucially, some studies suggest they may possess metacognition, the ability to think about their own thinking, a hallmark of higher-order consciousness. They seem to plan, remember, and even understand abstract concepts, suggesting remarkably complex inner lives. Dolphins, with their large, complex brains and sophisticated social structures, communicate using unique signature whistles, imitate human gestures, understand abstract concepts, and recognize themselves in mirrors. Their sophisticated social learning and problem-solving skills point to a high degree of awareness and emotional intelligence. Even tiny bees, despite their brains being no larger than a grain of sand, exhibit astonishing cognitive feats. They can count, distinguish faces, learn abstract rules, and show emotional contagion. Recent research even suggests they may exhibit a basic form of consciousness, or at least complex internal states, raising profound questions about the minimum brain complexity required for a glimmer of subjective experience. Mammals like dogs and cats, our beloved companions, display clear signs of social learning, complex problem-solving, and distinct emotional states. MRI studies reveal brain activation patterns in dogs experiencing emotions that are remarkably similar to those observed in humans. Their capacity for joy, fear, attachment, and even forms of empathy strongly suggests a rich inner world of experience. These diverse observations across the animal kingdom strongly support the continuity hypothesis, which proposes that consciousness evolved gradually over millions of years, not as a sudden, unique leap, but in degrees, as nervous systems grew more complex and integrated. It's a spectrum, not a binary on or off switch, extending throughout the tree of life. This perspective encourages us to exercise critical anthropomorphism, a balanced approach that acknowledges animal sentience based on robust scientific evidence, while being cautious of projecting purely human emotions onto animals or denying their inner lives entirely. If consciousness is indeed a spectrum, then the universe might be teeming with various forms of awareness, from the simplest to the most complex. A cosmic symphony of subjective experiences unfolding across countless species, both on Earth and potentially far beyond. Artificial awareness, the cosmic dawn of machine consciousness? As we venture into the future, a new and profoundly challenging frontier in the study of consciousness emerges: artificial intelligence. Can machines ever truly be conscious? This question forces us to rigorously distinguish between intelligence and consciousness, two related but distinct concepts. AI systems are undeniably intelligent. They can solve complex problems, learn from vast datasets, recognize patterns, translate languages, and even create art or compose music. They can perform tasks that once required human intellect with astonishing speed and accuracy. But are they conscious? Do they experience or feel? Do they have inner qualia? Or is their intelligence merely a sophisticated simulation of understanding? This is the core of the debate. The famous Chinese room argument, proposed by philosopher John Searle in 1980, illustrates this challenge vividly. Imagine a person who doesn't understand Chinese sitting in a room. They receive Chinese characters through a slot, follow a meticulously detailed rulebook on how to manipulate those symbols, and then output new Chinese characters. To an outside observer, who only sees the Chinese input and output, it appears the person in the room understands Chinese perfectly. But the person inside the room doesn't understand Chinese. They are just following syntactic rules without any semantic understanding or awareness of their meaning. Searle argues that I, even sophisticated ones, operate similarly. They can manipulate symbols according to rules without any genuine understanding, meaning, or awareness of what those symbols represent. It's a powerful argument against the idea that mere computation, however complex, can automatically lead to consciousness. The concept of philosophical zombies resurfaces here as well. If an I behaves exactly like a conscious human, mimicking all responses and expressions, how can we truly prove it has inner subjective experience? This is the ultimate other minds problem extended to machines. Since consciousness is an internal, private phenomenon, its presence in an I would be incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to verify objectively. The ELIZA effect, named after a simple chatbot program from the 1960s, demonstrates how easily humans can project consciousness onto machines. Users would form emotional connections with ELIZA, even simple ones, because of its ability to mimic human conversational patterns. This highlights our tendency to infer consciousness from behavior, even when there's no underlying subjective experience. Modern, more advanced chatbots often elicit even stronger ELIZA effects. The embodiment hypothesis suggests that consciousness requires a body and sensory experiences to truly feel and understand the world in a meaningful way. Our consciousness is deeply intertwined with our physical form, our interactions with the environment, our motor actions, and the rich tapestry of sensory input. Without a body to experience pain, joy, the feeling of a cool breeze, or the effort of movement, can a machine truly be conscious in a way that resembles biological consciousness? Proponents argue that a disembodied I, however intelligent, would lack the foundational grounding for subjective experience. And then there are qualia those irreducible, subjective, internal sensations that are at the heart of conscious experience. Machines currently show no evidence of possessing qualia. They can process information about color, but do they experience the redness of a sunset? This remains the ultimate barrier for many in the field: how to get from bits and bytes to subjective feeling. The ethical dimension of I consciousness is also critical. If machines were to become truly conscious, with inner experiences, feelings, and the capacity for suffering, we would face profound ethical questions about their rights, our responsibilities towards them, and the moral implications of creating such entities. This is a cosmic frontier that demands careful contemplation and foresight as we continue to develop increasingly sophisticated AI, pushing the boundaries of what we consider intelligent and what we consider alive. The very act of building conscious machines might force us to redefine what it means to be conscious ourselves. The cosmic journey, the evolution of consciousness on our blue marble. When did consciousness first arise on Earth? This profound question takes us back to the dawn of life on our blue marble, a cosmic journey through billions of years of evolution, tracing the emergence of inner experience from simple biological responses to complex self-awareness. It's widely believed that rudimentary consciousness likely began as a basic, non-reflective form of awareness that provided a significant survival advantage for early organisms. The ability to sense and respond to the environment, to distinguish between light and dark, predator and prey, food and poison would have been crucial. Even single-celled organisms exhibit basic forms of awareness, reacting to stimuli in their environment, suggesting a very primitive level of being. Primary consciousness is thought to be the simple ability to have subjective experiences, to feel, perceive, and respond to the immediate present. This level of awareness is perhaps present in creatures with relatively simple nervous systems, like worms, jellyfish, and arthropods. They navigate their world with a basic sense of being, driven by fundamental needs and sensory input. It's the raw, unfiltered experience of what it's like to be that organism in that moment. The gradual emergence hypothesis suggests that consciousness didn't appear suddenly as a fully formed phenomenon, but rather evolved in degrees, incrementally. As nervous systems grew more complex, capable of processing more information, integrating diverse sensory inputs, and forming more elaborate neural networks, so too did the richness and depth of conscious experience. It's a slow, incremental ascent up the ladder of awareness, driven by evolutionary pressures to enhance survival and reproduction. A critical juncture in this evolutionary story was the rise of vertebrates. With the development of a distinct brain and spinal cord, early fish evolved nervous systems capable of more complex learning, navigation, and social behaviors. This central processing unit allowed for greater integration of sensory information and more sophisticated responses, laying the groundwork for more advanced forms of awareness. The presence of REM sleep across a wide range of animals, not just mammals, but also birds and even some reptiles, is considered a fascinating clue to the evolution of consciousness. The vivid, narrative-like dreams experienced during REM sleep suggest the brain's growing ability to simulate experiences, to create complex internal worlds even during periods of rest. This capacity for internal simulation is a powerful indicator of a more complex conscious system, capable of generating internal realities. Convergent evolution is a particularly intriguing concept in this context. It's the idea that consciousness, or highly sophisticated forms of intelligence and awareness, may have evolved independently in different lineages that faced similar environmental challenges or opportunities. The most striking example is the independent evolution of complex intelligence and apparent consciousness in vertebrates and in cephalopods. Despite having vastly different brain structures and evolutionary histories, both groups have developed remarkable cognitive abilities and signs of sentience. This suggests that consciousness might not be a unique or rare fluke, but rather a natural, efficient solution to evolutionary problems, a testament to the universe's ingenuity in fostering awareness across diverse biological forms. Finally, secondary consciousness, the ability to reflect on one's own experiences, to have a robust sense of self, to engage in abstract thought, and to build complex social structures, deepened in mammals and birds. This form of consciousness allowed for the development of advanced language, cultural transmission, emotional depth, and intricate social awareness, including self-recognition and empathy. This is the consciousness that allows us as sleepy astronomers to ponder the vastness of the cosmos, to ask profound questions about our origins and destiny, and to understand our unique place within the grand evolutionary story of life and consciousness on Earth. The evolution of consciousness is a testament to the universe's incredible capacity for self-awareness, a cosmic journey unfolding over eons. The final frontier, consciousness and the cosmic end, perhaps the most profound and universally pondered question of all, one that touches every sentient being, is, what happens to consciousness after death? As astronomers, we understand that all things in the universe, from the smallest particle to the grandest galaxy, have a beginning and an end, a cycle of creation and dissolution. But does our individual inner light simply extinguish, or does it transform, perhaps returning to some fundamental cosmic source? From a purely scientific perspective, based on current understanding, death is fundamentally a physical process. When the heart stops, blood flow to the brain ceases. Without oxygen and nutrients, neurons begin to fail, and the intricate electrochemical network that generates consciousness unravels. Brain activity gradually diminishes, and eventually, electrical signals cease entirely. In this view, consciousness, being an emergent property of the brain, simply dissolves as its physical substrate ceases to function. However, recent scientific studies have revealed intriguing, albeit limited, phenomena at the very edge of life. Research, particularly in animals like rats, and in some human studies during cardiac arrest, has shown a surprising burst of synchronized electrical activity in the brain immediately after the heart stops. This surge of high-frequency brain waves, sometimes called a last flicker of awareness, occurs as oxygen levels plummet. While its precise meaning is still under intense investigation, it suggests a complex, highly active state of brain function in the moments just before total cessation, perhaps a final surge of activity as the brain struggles or processes its last moments. Many individuals who have been resuscitated after clinical death report vivid, often profound experiences known as near-death experiences. These typically involve a consistent set of phenomena: feelings of peace and well-being, out-of-body sensations, moving through a tunnel towards a bright light, encountering deceased loved ones, and undergoing a rapid life review. These experiences are often transformative for the individuals. While incredibly compelling and deeply personal, scientific explanations for NDEs often attribute them to natural brain chemistry, physiological changes due to lack of oxygen, the release of neurochemicals during stress, and the brain's inherent tendency to create a coherent narrative from fragmented sensations during a traumatic event. These explanations suggest that NDEs, while powerful, are internal brain-generated phenomena rather than evidence of consciousness existing outside the body. Ultimately, when brain function ceases entirely, when the brain becomes irrevocably silent, there is currently no scientific evidence of consciousness persisting. Based on empirical data, consciousness appears to be inextricably linked to a functioning brain. This leads to the challenging contemplation of the nothingness of death. However, this nothingness might not be terrifying in practice. The video suggests it might be akin to the experience of dreamless sleep, a profound absence of experience, not a state of being terrified by nothingness, but simply no experience at all, a quiet cessation. Yet, humanity's diverse cultural beliefs about consciousness after death are rich, varied, and deeply rooted in human history, often providing profound comfort, meaning, and a framework for understanding life's purpose. These include concepts of an underworld journey, reincarnation, various forms of eternal afterlives, or merging with a divine or universal consciousness. These beliefs often reflect a deep human desire for continuity and meaning beyond individual mortality. Finally, there are more speculative scientific and philosophical theories that extend beyond current empirical evidence. Quantum theories of consciousness, for example, propose highly speculative links between the brain's quantum processes and consciousness itself. Some versions suggest that consciousness might be non-local or linked to the fundamental fabric of the universe, potentially implying a continuation or transformation of awareness beyond the brain's demise, even if not in an individualistic sense. And if panpsychism holds true that consciousness is a fundamental irreducible property of matter, present even in elementary particles, then death might not be the end of consciousness itself, but merely the end of a particular complex experience of consciousness. It would be like an individual wave dissolving back into the vast ocean from which it arose. The wave as a distinct entity ceases, but the water, the fundamental constituent, remains part of the larger whole. Our individual conscious experience, in this view, would be a complex arrangement of fundamental conscious elements, which simply rearrange or return to a simpler state upon death. The very act of wondering about consciousness, even about its apparent end, is itself a profound act of consciousness, a uniquely human expression of being aware. It is the universe contemplating itself through us, asking questions about its own nature. As we drift into the quiet cosmic night, let us embrace the mystery with a sense of wonder and peace, finding comfort in the vastness of what we know, and the even greater, awe-inspiring vastness of what remains unknown. May your dreams be filled with cosmic wonder, and may you awaken with a renewed sense of the profound gift of awareness that allows us to perceive and ponder the universe, both within and without. Good night, sleepy astronomers. until our next cosmic journey. If these cosmic contemplations bring you a sense of peace and spark your curiosity, then join our journey. Subscribe to the Sleepy Astronomer now and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our future explorations into the universe's most profound mysteries, both out among the stars and within the depths of our own minds.